Welcome back. Today we're talking about making a good impression. First, why it's important that we make a good first impression, and then how we do that. I know we've had some conversations about wardrobe, but I also know that there's a lot of other things that we're gonna dive deep into how to make a good first impression. Well, let's talk about the why first. So why is it so important that we make a good first impression?
You only have that first time. And that's it. You better make that first impression good because you're not going to have a second chance. So people can tell usually within 30 seconds of meeting you a lot about you just based on the way you carry yourself.
Okay, so do we act one way when we're around certain people and a different way around others?
No.
It's kind of a loaded question.
Be you. If you're a jerk out there, then you know what? Hey, be a jerk right away so that way you're not wasting my time. I can get to know you right away, right? No. One of the main things obviously is, dress to impress. I mean, we've talked about this prior, but look good. Are you meeting that person for work, on a professional basis, or is it personal? So you've got to distinguish the two and then go from there. If it's professional, obviously dress your brand, dress the part. Mm-hmm. Feel good because it's going to show. It's going to show. I'm going to be able to tell if you're fidgeting or if you're not comfortable based on how good you feel about yourself.
So just kind of a side question, and I've formed my opinion since working with you, but I don't think we've actually talked about this in depth. So we've talked about, okay, if I'm going to be speaking at an event or if I'm going to go to a conference, this is how I can prepare, this is how I can, dress to make a good impression or whatnot. But what about if I'm running an errand, I need to go to the grocery store? Or, is it important to be conscious of those things at more casual time or non-professional time?
I would be lying if I said I've never worn, just really quickly, my cute fuzzy PJ pants to just get a gallon of milk or whatever to the store. I can't say that. I think we've all done that. Now, is that the norm? It's not. It's either been like super, super late at night or I wear a really big cap and no one can tell who I am. But you know what? I feel like I always run into someone I know. I'm always dreading. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if someone sees me looking like this? You need to plan for that because you don't know. A good example is when you travel, when you're at the airport. I don't know if you've ever ran into this, but I tell people often, even when you're traveling, it matters what you look like, what you're wearing. You don't have to wear a suit or a dress, but there's still, especially nowadays, really great, cute clothing that is comfortable, great jeggings or leggings or sweatpants, even for men, and cool sneakers, awesome hats that you can still look cool, look good and be your brand. There is no reason to look sloppy, but yeah, you never know.
Okay, so we'll talk a lot more about wardrobe and clothing in other
Yes.
episodes. She's going to be back for more. But let's talk about some of the other things about, the how to make a good first impression.
Okay. One of the big ones I think is look at people in the eye, right? Pay attention to what they're saying. Don't be like wondering. I have spoken to people that they ask me kind of a serious question and I'm telling them and they're kind of like, hi, saying hi to someone else or like paying attention who's coming and going. That is so rude. You just asked me a question. Please pay attention to what I'm trying to tell you. Mm-hmm. Another one is just a firm handshake. None of that little noodle hand. That's what I call noodle hands. And a lot of women, when they shake their hand, when they give me a handshake, it's not firm. So ladies, especially you, make sure you go in for a firm handshake. That is something I'm actually complimented on a lot by gentlemen is, oh my gosh, good handshake.
Let's try it.
What do you
There we
think,
go.
Nate?
Yeah,
Is that
nice.
good?
Very firm.
Make sure it's a good handshake. That can say a lot about you. Be careful of what you put on social media. Okay. So before I come to meet you, if it's my first time meeting you, I always Google you. I always go on Facebook or Google you and see who you are, what you look like, or what you do. And if I see something that is less than pleasant, I'm going to be a little afraid of meeting with you. I'm already going to have a judgment of you by the pictures or by your opinions of what you put on social media. So unfortunately or fortunately today, everything is out there on social media, and whether you may not want certain things to be on social media, they will always be there to haunt you. So be careful what you put on there, especially if it's public.
So a first impression doesn't necessarily mean the first time you meet somebody nowadays.
Nowadays is always online.
Yeah, because
Right.
that makes a lot of sense. So we got to be real conscious, I guess, of what we put on.
Be conscious of what you're putting out there and how you're portraying yourself. So another one that I think we ought to be cognizant of is to use our manners, right? To say please, thank you, or excuse me. They are so simple to remember, but yet so often forgotten. Have good manners. I mean, opening a door for someone, or if you see someone that's coming in and you really want to catch their attention and you know that's the only moment, make sure to say, will you excuse me? I'm sorry, just one quick second. And then, do what you need to do. But following that brings me to the point of a cell phone. Okay, how many times have you been talking to someone and that person takes out their cell phone, and it pretends they're looking at you and they're checking out their messages? That is so rude. I can't stand it. Unless if you are expecting an emergency call or something of that manner, do not touch your phone. Put it down and it can wait. Pay attention to the conversation that you're having with that person. If you do need to attend to that text or that phone call, say, will you excuse me? I'm waiting for such and such. I will be right back. Excuse yourself and then come back to the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I'm hearing here that kind of goes directly in alignment with what I'm trying to do better at myself is that to make a good first impression, it's really to focus on the other person, making them feel good about themselves.
That's right.
So instead of trying to put on a show or say something that will help them think cool things about me, if I can pay attention to people, really look at their eyes, listen to what they're saying, put away the phone, put away the distractions, then, because I just think about this last conference that I went to about a week and a half ago, some people that really stood out to me. Now I can think of people on both examples. One guy I was talking with, and then all of a sudden he was checking, and I'm like, this guy doesn't want to talk to me.
all the way around us.
But then there's another guy that I've actually followed him a bit on YouTube. He's done pretty well. He's got a big following. Well, there was a social in the evening, and I just ended up not even noticing who am I standing next to. Oh, I know you. And he was so kind. He just the way that he paid so much attention to me and other people that came up
That's
and
right.
wanted his autograph and whatnot. It really did make a big. It made a really good impression on me of him, of how gracious he was to people that obviously he didn't know and that he'll never see again.
It's amazing if you ask people questions, if you express interest on them, how much more they'll start liking you. It's like everyone is walking around starved for attention because we're always just giving attention to those little electronic gadgets that we carry everywhere with us, that we forget about that personal touch.
Well, and what you said is so true. If somebody comes up to me, I'm thinking of a specific person at this conference. They came up to me and they just started telling me about themselves. And it's like, okay, I'm back at an old-fashioned networking event. They just want to give me their business card.
Yeah.
But when people come up, I really like it when people recognize me. It's like, hey, I've seen your stuff is so good.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that gives me a good impression of them. I'm just kind of thinking about it in my experience, so that makes a lot of sense.
One thing that I do, I just remember me, when people do recognize me and they come up to me and say, oh my goodness, I know who you are, and they start complimenting me, and it makes me feel so uncomfortable. I don't know why. I'm not very good at taking compliments. I'm working on that. But I always try to divert and say, so tell me about you. Remind me who you are. Remind me what you do. Oh, where did we meet last? So I automatically put it back on them and start expressing, and I mean it, interest in them.
So one thing is, we could be better at accepting compliments, because that's also good feedback. If we're supposed to be complimenting them, but
It
we
is.
can also
and
feel
be gracious too in receiving it. You know, I used to say, oh my gosh, really, this old thing? Oh my goodness. No, it's like, you know what? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That makes me feel so good. And be gracious about it.
Yeah. So people that I've met and complimented that are confident, that are successful, that's what they do, is they just briefly express gratitude for that compliment. But on the other hand, there's a lot of times where I'll compliment somebody and they'll basically like, oh no, it was nothing, and it's like, well, I wonder why we have a tendency to do that.
I don't know. But we gravitate to the negative, and the positive, we just kind of shrug it off. But stop that. Accept the compliments.
All right, well, thanks so much, Eugenia. This has been a helpful video. You guys have obviously watched it this far, so be sure to subscribe. We're doing a series of episodes together, so stay tuned for those, and we'll see you tomorrow.